says, wait just a minute.
Hello.
Hold on, it's giving me an error.
It says live on my end.
Okay, good. Now we're live. Hey, everybody. This is Kelly Anderson, Biohacker Mom. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday out there today. So I am so excited to have my coach with me today. This is my coach, Delynn Miller, and she lives in Ontario. She is a wife and mother of 2 girls. And she comes from a background of health management and social work. And how long did you work in that industry?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I never actually social worked. That was just like one of the things I went to school for. But then, because what actually happened was I went from being the summer student at the hospital I was working at to the manager. And then I was a manager for 15 years. So,
wow.
15 yeah.
Yeah. So you get to know Delynn, and it's not surprising why she climbed to the top of the ladder so quickly. I've been working with Delynn now for several months, and she's already drastically changed my life. She's changed my outlook on things. I'm so grateful, so appreciative of Delynn, really blown away by Delynn. And I meet a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people, and Delynn is one of those people that, in a good way, I mean this as a compliment. You meet her and it's kind of like a slap in the face. It's kind of like, what just happened? What just happened to me? Oh, I just met Delynn. Or, wake up, have our study group in the morning, and slap in the face. What just happened? Oh, it was study group with Delynn. I want to say, before we get going, the thing that I'm so impressed with Delynn, and I'm trying to learn this myself. I think I can be a pretty stern person. I can be pretty, like, with my people, I'm like, come on, we're going to stay on this. I'm pretty good at keeping people on track. But Delynn has the gift of doing that and being very kind about it. And she has a way of she's very stern. She's very to the point, which I always appreciate very much in people. But she has a way, when you walk away, you don't feel badly about yourself. Some people can be really hard on you, and you've got to do this, and you're not doing this, and then you walk away and you feel like crap. But when you walk away from Delynn, you always feel like, wow, she was tough on me, or she was tough on the group, but you could tell it was totally out of love. And that's what I just wanted to put that out. First of all, that's one of the top things that I appreciate about you. So Delynn comes from a health management, social working background, and then she decided to make this huge shift into mindset and health coaching. So first off, when did you make that shift, and why?
So it's so interesting, Kelly, because when I reflect back on my life, right, and that's all we can do, right, is we can reflect back and go, oh, now I can see that this led to this, which led to this, which led to this, which led to this, right? When I was in high school, I first decided that I was going to go to university because that's what I was supposed to do. That was the thing that you did. And right, I like to do things in all the right order because I didn't know any better. And I said, I want to understand why people do what they do. So I went and I took psychology and social work. That was when I went to my guidance counselor and I said, I want to learn why people do what they do. I want to learn why we're thinking what we think and why we get the results that we get. And she said, oh, you need a degree in psychology and social work. And I said, okay, perfect. Sign me up. Right. So that's what caused me to go into that for schooling. And 5 years later, I can tell you that I had some really cool experiences, but I didn't really understand. And I learned all the parts of the brain and like all the neurotransmitters and all of the things, but no one could actually tell me why we do what we do. And so when I graduated, so I was a summer student at the hospital, and I thought I need a break. And a manager's position came up, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to apply for it. And then I got it. And then so I like total super grateful to the universe for never having me go down that path of actually doing the work in social work, because I wasn't meant to do that, right? So I learned a ton, and I became an expert ladder climber, and I continued to keep just going back to school and reading all the books. And I got some more degrees and a master's and like all the things more. I was like a letter collector at the end of my name, because I thought, because that was what I was taught to think, that would give me more credibility, that would make me know more, that it would. But at the end of it, what I realized is 15 years in, and I was burnt out. And at that point, I then had a newborn and a 2-year-old, and didn't know anymore, and was very dissatisfied with my life. I had everything to be grateful for. I was a personal growth junkie. I was just like I was like reading all the books and listening to all the podcasts, and I walked on fire with Tony Robbins, and I did all the things, but I was like, why am I feeling this way? And that's what I knew I had to make a shift. So when I was pregnant with my first daughter, that was my first shift into more Eastern medicine versus Western medicine. Just purely because I was like, if I wasn't supposed to be putting all this stuff in my body when I was pregnant, why would I put it in my body when I'm not pregnant? And it was like this light bulb went off. And then it's like mom code, right? I started using like plants and essential oils and like all the things to heal my body, and food, right? And water and nutrition, and right, all the foundational things. It was like mom code. Like, oh, your kid's not sleeping, here, try this. Oh, you need, right? Like, you're stressed out, try this. And then I realized a huge part of my own shift was my mindset. And then I started studying the mind-body connection. And then it became so apparent to me. And I was introduced to, so my first main coach that I ever had was Bob Proctor. And he introduced me to universal law, and how our body is just a manifestation of our mind. And for the first time, I was like, this is it. Now I get why we do what we do. Now I get how we think and why. And I, again, reflect on my whole life and go, oh, that's why I did all of that stuff. Right. And I started the reprogramming of myself, and it's just been history since then.
I knew Bob Proctor, of course, before meeting you, and I feel just like you. I'm actually kind of jealous, because I love the man so much. I'm jealous that you knew him on that level so closely, because I just think he's one of the most phenomenal people to ever live. I feel that strongly about Bob. So you learn, first of all, so you became a health and mind coach. And so tell me a little bit about, like, when you set out to do this, did you have programs that you were ready to run with, or did you create new like, how did you get started?
So my first dabbling into coaching was, again, just through my own experiences. And I actually started in the network marketing industry. So I was with doTERRA, am with doTERRA. And I was one of those people, guys, that I swore that I would never be a network marketer. I was like, not going to happen. I had such stories and beliefs around network marketers. But now I'm a huge advocate, and Bob Proctor, huge advocate for network marketing, because it like is in alignment with every single universal law, right? And there's a reason why we gravitate to it. So now I always tell people, I'm like, find a company that you align with. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just find one that you align with, find a product that you align with, and get in that industry. It is, everything's done for you. Like, what a great way to start, right? So when I first started, I used that as a platform to kind of start using my voice, right? But at the end of the day, what I realized is I kept getting stuck in comparing myself to other people. And I was just always constantly chasing after what someone else is doing versus owning my own strengths and owning my own journey and what it was supposed to look like. And it was like the moment, so I did that for 5 years. I was getting results, but they were very inconsistent. And the moment I realized, so about 4 years ago, the moment I realized that this life, my business, my everything, my relationships, my health, all of it, the moment I realized that it is 5% strategy and 95% mindset, everything shifted. Everything shifted. And I started not only getting like quantum leap results, but they were consistent. And then our body's just a manifestation of our mind, right? So like I've never felt better in my body. My relationships are stronger. I went into, my shift looking for my business, but it's just like, I don't mom the same. I don't wife the same. I don't daughter the same. I don't do anything the same, because my self-image of who I am and where I'm going has shifted so dramatically.
Looking back at that shift, how easy was it to make that shift? Like, was it, like for some people I see, they seem to be able to just, they just turn 180 degrees just like that. Other people, it seems to be, take a while to make, I always say we're turning the ship around. And right. So for you, your experience, once you started putting these ideas into action, how long would you say, like, did you feel like there was a time where you were like, oh gosh, I'm not getting this, or why is this taking so long? Did you experience anything like that?
Well, I think because we live in a society of instant gratification, I think that we innately want everything to happen now and yesterday, right? But what I started doing is really changing my perspective, right? It's one of our higher faculties that when we utilize it, stuff changes, right? So I started looking at my whole journey as one where I have the rest of my life to get where I'm going. And where I think I'm going is like, I'm only using a fraction of my potential, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, like I have so much that I can do. If you remain open and coachable, and I know I've said this to you too, Kelly, when you are open and coachable, you will get there faster. The only thing that gets in our way is our habitual thinking, right? So I've named my prior self-image, my paradigm. Her name's Linda, and she's a real piece of work. I named her after that. That YouTube video where that kid's like, "Listen, Linda, listen," right? Because I honestly, it makes me laugh every single time, and really, like, you gotta laugh or else you'll just cry. But Linda, she had her way of doing things, and I'm so grateful for her. She had me doing quantum leaps when I didn't realize it. Like, who goes from the summer student to the manager, right? Like, she had me making quantum leaps, but she also put me I had a ceiling built, right? I had a self-image where my standard was here, but I wanted it to be here. Right. And so the only thing ever standing in anybody's way is that self-image that's gotten them to where they are. Right. So it's like your self-image, it's like a thermostat. Okay. So it controls everything in your life. It controls everything and how you show up and the results that you're getting. And it's like, until you reprogram that thermostat, until you reprogram that self-image, that paradigm, you will continue to get those same results. You will attract in things through law of attraction, right? You will attract in things that bring you back to that ceiling. And yeah, so really creating where I'm going and just making decisions from her has been crucial. And that's where the shift becomes easy.
Yeah. I'm always just so impressed by you. And I always wonder, like, to see you, excuse me, to see you how you are now and how you are with our group. It's hard for me to imagine you ever not. It's hard for you. It's hard for me to imagine you being in like a place of the student. And I mean that, as a real compliment. It's just hard for me to fathom. I see you as such a wise person. I'm always just, I feel like I think a lot like you, but the way you word things, the way things come out, I'm always like, I that was beautiful. That was amazing. And actually you weren't in study group yesterday, but I made a comment and the entire group said, like, Mel stopped and said, "Kelly, Delynn was just speaking through you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that was like the greatest compliment." I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, really?
Well, to be Kelly, I am still a student. And the more I realize, the more I uncover about the work on myself, right? The more I realize, the more I know, the more I don't know anything. Right? So I am always a student. Like, I will always have a coach myself. Always. Right? And I always choose my coaches based on someone that's ahead of me. Like, I've had multiple coaches, but I'm always striving to find, and I know I will attract them in, that person that's like a few steps ahead of me. What we get in the habit of doing is we get in the habit of taking advice from people that aren't getting the results that we want. And our environment is everything. It is everything. It was when you can get in the environment, and what our study club does and our masterminding and all the things that we do together, what it does is it gets us in the environment of people that are not just goal setters, but they're goal achievers, right? Like, there's people in our group that are getting mega results, right? And it's just like, I'm always looking for that person. Like, I'm not going to take on a coach that's going to sugarcoat the pill and not tell it like it is, and that is not getting the results that I would want to get. Right? And I wouldn't expect anybody to do the same. So it's like, what happens when people become coaches is they think, oh, well, everybody thinks I'm really inspirational, so I guess I should become a coach. And it's like, but you have to, when you become a coach, you are committed, and everybody should be committed anyways, to lifelong mastery of yourself. Like, because I can tell you, the more I get to know me, the more I get to know you, the more I get to know everybody, right? Because we're all working with that same energy source.
That's what I love about Bob so much. I mean, up until his dying day, he was still always, people would ask him, don't you think you know this by now? And he would say, I will never know this. I will never understand this. I'm going to keep working on this. 86 years old, 87. And he's like, I'm going to keep working on this. And that's so inspirational to me. Um, so so I have, anybody watching, I just want to impress upon you that Delynn, if you are ever looking for a coach, a health coach, a mindset coach, Delynn is she's phenomenal. I cannot say enough about you. So tell a little bit about the programs that you offer.
So my initial program that I took that really got me in sync with Bob was the Thinking into Results program that Bob Proctor created. And I would say it's a 12 lesson program. I coach people for 6 months. And the reason I coach people for 6 months minimum is because I need time to help shift that self-image. And because it runs everything. And so that program, what it does is it creates order. It helps you to get a real goal, because most people don't even know where they're going. They think they have a goal, but they don't have a goal. They have a goal that they think they can get. And that's going to keep them where they are, right? So we set real goals, and then we become that person that's crushing those goals, right? But you have to like hold it, right? So I coach people through the Thinking to Results program. I also have a couple other programs that I do as well. I have one similar to it. That's my own program. It's called One Thought Away. And again, absolute paradigm shift, but more in alignment with universal law and teaching about universal law and working with it. You gotta think of universal law like the rule book for life, right? When you know the rules, you win. You don't know the rules, it's not that you lose, but life feels harder, right? So it's more in alignment with universal law. And then I have a retreat that I offer every single month. It's called the Power of Purpose Retreat. And the specific idea behind that retreat is that we nail down, like, what is your purpose in life? Because when you start being on purpose, you get clarity. And again, that law of attraction kicks in, and you start attracting in all of the people, places, things, tools, resources you need in order to get on purpose. So we go through our purpose, we identify what's the vision we have for our lives, and then again, it's all about the goals. That's where it starts with, is that desire. And then I also have some graduate programs that I offer. Once people kind of have the foundation, then we get deep into it. Because what I've noticed is that people are having paradigm shifts. They're creating that self-image, but then what happens is they're not taking action, right? Because the action is scary, right? And fear is guaranteed to pop in, guaranteed. Fear, doubt, worry, imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it, it is guaranteed to pop in. So I have a high level mastermind. It's called Pursuit Mastermind. And we specifically set up a plan to take action. So it's because that's what's going to get your results, is nothing happens until you start taking action.
So true. And I've always been an action taker, but I think one thing that you have helped me with is, like, I was taking action. I never had any trouble taking action, but I was taking action all over the place. And I was like, oh, I like this. I'm going to take action over here. Oh, that looks great. I'm going to take action. And then all of a sudden, I'm taking so much action that I'm getting fatigued. I'm getting overwhelmed. And so I think probably more people have the problem of not taking enough action. But what you have helped me with is, okay, we've got to find some focus. We've got to find some clarity here. So I like to put that out, because there may be some people who are like, Delynn, I'm taking action. I'm taking action. And I just want to say that's where I feel like you have given me more clarity is like, okay, let's step back and let's hone in here. That's been really helpful for me.
Yeah. I always like to look at it as like a plate spinner at the circus, right? So when you see a plate spinner go out on stage, they start momentum on one plate. And then once the momentum's here, then they start the momentum on another plate. But what we'll do as humans, because we have this brilliant mind and we have an imagination and we keep thinking of all these ideas, and then like we can literally become anything we want. We are physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, on all levels designed to be, do, and have anything we want. But what happens as humans is we go, one day I want to be a cucumber, and the next day I want to be a tomato, and then the next day I want to be an apple, right? And it's like we're all over the place. Whereas if you get one plate spinning, build momentum, then you can get another plate spinning. So instead of just taking all the plates out to center stage, throwing them in the air and then trying to like catch them all. And it feels like crap. And we're like, and plates are breaking all over the place. And we're wondering what the heck's going on, because we're taking action. We're doing all the things, but there's no order behind it. There's no, a plate spinner has a very systematic, it's an orderly process. And this is what I love about like the programs that I coach people through, is they're duplicatable, right? So you set a goal, you crush that goal, and then you have to start another one, right? Most people, they're going like, I just want to retire. And I'm like, retire from what? Life? Right? And maybe this is me hanging out with Bob too much, but I'm like, watching him at 87, I'm like, that's hashtag life goals right there. Like I don't ever want to retire from what I'm doing. It might look different, right? But it's just like, as long as you know where you're going, automatically assume that you're meant to have that. And I can see myself, every decision I make now, I can see myself as an 80-year-old woman. Like I can see every decision I make around my relationships, my health, my work, my energy, like where I'm putting it, every decision goes to there.
I think of that a lot too. Like, I don't want to be an 80-year-old woman looking back and regretting. I don't want to be that 80-year-old woman looking back like, oh man, I hear that is the number one when elderly people are asked, do you have any regrets in your life? And the number one thing is they always say, I wish I had tried this. I wish I had gone after something. Yeah. And so I'm thinking of the 80-year-old woman a lot. And I just never want her to be like, man, I had this chance and I blew it,
Yeah.
Never want that. So, So speaking of, you are about to really take the bull by the horns, and you're about to make a huge leap. I know as 80-year-old Delynn, you will not look back and say, darn, I wish I hadn't moved to Barbados. So you're moving to Barbados in weeks. And first off, what made you decide to move to Barbados? And secondly, how are you feeling about this move at the moment?
So this has truly been a divine experience. That is for sure. And so many people have said to me, like, Barbados, why Barbados? I'm like, I don't know. I've never been there before. And then they go, oh my gosh, you've never been there? And you're like taking your kids and your husband and you guys are just moving there. And it's like, yeah, I am. Like, cause I know that there's something there. And in a year from now, we'll look back and go, oh, that's why we moved to Barbados. Like, that's what we had to do there. That makes sense, right? This building out your self-image is no joke. And it is, and I know I said this to you, Cal, it is not for the faint of heart, because honestly, when you create her, you then have to have the guts to do and make decisions like she makes decisions. Mm-hmm. So 4 years ago, I started my process of creating her. I started the process of creating her, and I got to know her really well. Okay. So like I'm a Friends fan. Okay. So let's just like look at it like that. Okay. So I'm a Friends fan. You can give me any scenario and I will be able to say, oh, Rachel would respond in this way. Ross would do this. Phoebe, she would totally be doing this because I know the character so well. Okay. So over the years, I've gotten to know Delynn Goal Achieved. I know who she is. I know how she responds to things. I know how much money's in her bank account. I know what her body's like. I know what she feels like. I know what her relationships are like. I know how she does anything. Okay. So when I resigned in corporate healthcare 8 years ago, I was very clear that I'm not taking on anything that I can't do from anywhere because Delynn Goal Achieved, she travels. We love adventure. Okay. And I honestly believe we needed the last 2 years of this, everything that's happened. It happened for us because we needed it to go, oh, dang, like we really miss adventure. Like we miss that. Right. So my husband has been a police officer for the last 18 years. And we also own some brick and mortar businesses as well, locally where we're from. But we honestly, it was about a year ago that he had said to me, I don't see myself doing this for another 15 years. And I just said, then don't. What do you want to do? Right? It's same thing I would say to any of you guys. What do you want to do? And he started using his imagination. He's out there doing his thing, right? But it was one of those opportunities that the moment he said that, I was like, oh, dang. Like now we're both going, what can I do from anywhere? And I knew from that moment that we were going to attract in something. So 8 short weeks ago, we came across this 1-year visa to Barbados. And we said, what if we actually did this? I love to play the what if game, right? It's such a cool game. What if we actually did this? And immediately Linda comes in, whoom, and she's like, what about your kids? What about school? What about your family? What about your work? What about blah, 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 blah? And she's naming off all the things like I don't live them every day. And I'm like, all right, listen, Linda, listen, right? And I turned to my higher self and I said, hey, Delynn, do we do this? And she was like, oh, hell yeah, we do this. And it was like, all right, then we do this. And Dave, my husband, he was like, oh my gosh, we're actually considering doing this. And I'm like, no, we're deciding. Like, this is the thing too. Everything rides on decision, right? If you're wavering, that's the worst feeling in the entire world. Just make a decision. I always tell people 3, 2, 1, decide, but decide from your higher self. You created her or him. You now have to have the guts to make decisions like they make decisions. So Linda's coming in, right? But Delyn's going, don't worry about it. It's going to be awesome. You totally do this and don't worry about it. Like this is what you've been preparing for 8 years. 8 years. You've been like building a life that you could do from anywhere. So go do it. Because what happens is you build out your goal, but then the universe goes, are you sure you want that? Test. Are you sure you want that? Test. And they're just tests. Every person you come in contact with, every outside circumstance, whether it's good or bad, right? It's a test. And you either make decisions from your higher self that you created from where you're going, or you don't. But if you keep making decisions, if I keep making decisions like Linda out of fear, I've gone as far as I'm ever going to go. Ever. I have a choice. Every single choice that I make is either from my higher self or I'm staying where I'm at. Period. So why did we choose Barbados? Opportunity came up. I don't know. Never been there. I'll let you know in a year. What's up? But like people go, oh, that's kind of random. And it's like, it's not, because Dave and I know exactly what we've been thinking about, right? Yesterday's thinking is today's results. Today's thinking is tomorrow's results. So it might take time, but what else do you have to do? This is your life. Like, this is your life. What else? What else you got to do?
I think so many people get I don't really understand because I have thought you and I just think so much alike. And I've always thought like this is my one ride and I need to max this out. I need to live to my fullest and it's just a matter of figuring out how do I live to my fullest. So many people fall into life and they get complacent and they think this is like a dress rehearsal or something, like, oh, I'll get another ride, I'll get
Yep.
another. And that's what breaks my heart for people so much. I see people just going through the motions so much. And I'm like, seriously, that's how you're going to live out your one life. So someone who's in that place, someone who may be feeling stuck, someone who isn't even aware that they're stuck. There's so many people who are not even aware.
Mhm.
What would you say to someone like that?
Everybody has this feeling of where they're going, right? Like and if you would have even asked me when I was climbing the corporate ladder, if you would have said, Delynn, do you like your job? I would have said, yeah, I like my job. I like the people. I'm really good at it. But if I was going to be honest with myself, I didn't love it. It didn't light me up. It didn't motivate me to want to like be, do, and have more. Right. I showed up and I served and all the things, but you will know if you get honest with yourself. You don't have to tell anybody, but get honest with yourself and say, can I picture myself doing what I'm doing for another year, another 5 years? And if the answer is no, then you then have to ask yourself, if I do nothing today, what's going to change in a year or 5 years from now? And I can tell you nothing. Right? But it's cause and effect. The law of cause and effect. Your thinking today is the cause. You have this energy, God source energy universe, whatever you want to call it, it's flowing through you. And your spirit moved into your meat stick that you call a body. And one day, maybe 80 to 100 years, it'll move out of it. But you get one shot, as far as we know. I'll let you know if I can.
I always say, you could come back as a skunk or something
Maybe.
like that.
Who knows?
So.
But you got to think like you were born a human. Out of all things that you could have been born, you were born a human in this day and age. Why? That's what I kept asking myself. I'm like, why? Like, why do I love the things that I love? Why did I choose healthcare? Oh, it's because I'm interested in health. Why did I choose psychology? Oh, it's because I want to know how people think. Well, now, 40 years later, I'm going, oh, now I'm in my type of healthcare. Now I'm really diving into but I'm just scratching the surface on why we do what we do, but I truly get it. Right. And I get now, I used to talk about manifesting things, but then people will say like, oh, I'm a great manifester, but then they can't, and I'll say to them, can you do that again? Because if you can't do it again, if you don't know how the hell you got to where you are, then you didn't manifest it. Right. If you can duplicate it, which is what I teach people how to do, that's when you know you will get consistent results over and over and over and over again. Right. And so it's like but it starts first with setting a goal that challenges you, that actually challenges you, that when you think about it, you are like excited and want to throw up all at the same time. You're just like, I have no idea how that's going to happen. And then you start truly asking yourself, who is the person that has that? And start to create them, just like your own friend's character. Just like start to create them. And then make all of your decisions from them. And you will get whatever you want. But the key is to be coachable around it, because your paradigm is going to come in strong, and it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Every single time.
Yeah, I think because for a long time, like, I've been in this material for a long time. I've been studying it and I really like it's one of those it's just mindset is my the thing that I am most interested in the way of health. I think it's the most important thing to be a healthy individual. It's the way you look at things. Um, but even though I have literally I've studied Wayne Dyer, I've studied Dispenza, I've studied all the big names for years and years and years, but I still wasn't really making a lot of progress. And I think that's where what you just said, you need to be coachable and you need to have I think you need to have a coach, and I think you also need to have a group that you are a group of like-minded people going through the same thing that you can toss ideas and also hold each other accountable. That's what I think the real difference is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I said I will even always have a coach. I have a mastermind that I attend every single week. I have an accountability partner. Like, I would never ask my clients to do something that I don't do. I know the power of the tools that I teach, and I know that they're sustainable. And I've always said my approach to health and mindset, I don't teach things that aren't sustainable. If you can't duplicate it or teach it to someone else, then what's the point? Right? But your goal is not the actual goal, it's who you become in the process. Right? And it's at the end of your life looking back and going, do I regret this? No, I don't. Like, worst case scenario, me moving to Barbados, I'm like, what? I get to spend a ton of time with my husband and my kids, and I get to hang out on the beach.
In a beautiful place. Yeah.
Right.
Pretty.
Like, there's no worst case scenario. Right. And for me, I'm constantly thinking, what am I teaching my kids? Right. Because we are their life teacher. Right. And I'm just like, if I teach them nothing, which I know I'm teaching them lots, I want them to know how to make decisions. I want them to know where they're going always and to make decisions from that space constantly and to not hold back, even if it's scary. And when they're in their 20s and 30s, they're going to go, holy crap, mom and dad. Like, remember when we were 8 and 10 and we sold everything, and moved to Barbados? Remember when we did that? That must have been really scary. And they say, yep. And we did it. And look at how much fun we had. And whatever, right? Whatever's about to happen, I don't know. But this is a huge lesson to my kids, but it's also a very clear message to the universe of me saying, like, bring it. Like, you threw me a test and I'm taking it. What else you got? Give me the next one. Right? And it's about, like, embracing the tests, even when they're scary and even when they feel hard. Because that's life. That's the joy of it. That's what's going to grow you. That's what's going to stretch you.
Sandy Gallagher, who is Bob Proctor's co-founder of the Proctor Gallagher Institute, she's got a wonderful quote that I love. The treasure that you seek is inside the cave you fear to enter. And I love that quote. I think about it all the time. Like, when I have this thing in front of me that just seems so scary, and I'm always like, yeah, but that's the cave. And the treasure, it's always when there's something that you're afraid of, don't turn and go the other way. There's always something in front of you that you are supposed to be looking at. And that's really, to me, fear is like a real cue, like, okay, I need to be paying attention. This is terrifying me, but there's going to be a lot of growth if you walk through it.
That's right.
And that's where you have helped me to stay the course. You know, when before I would get to like the fear barrier and I would say, oh, a lot of times I look and that's where I would get interested at the next thing. You know, it's like, oh, that's going to take the fear away over here. Oh, well, that looks good over here. And that's when you end up having uh you know, you're taking action in so many areas, but you're not really taking the real action that you need to where it's important. And that's where I think you have really helped me so hugely. So Delynn, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today. I just appreciate you so much. I see you and Lissa as very pivotal people in my life, even though I haven't known you for, you know, a tremendously long time. I see you as a real game changer for me. I really look like I look to you. I'm always saying, okay, what would Lissa, what would Delynn, what would Bob, what would they do in this situation? And it's been a huge shift going on. And I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely scary, but because I have you, I know that I can keep moving forward. I know that I can keep pushing through. So I just appreciate you so much. I want to encourage anybody who is out there watching. If you are interested in Delynn and her coaching or any of her programs, we're going to put in the comments a way for you to get more information about that. I definitely want to share her. I want everyone to know about Delynn because she's making big moves. She is, you know, like I said, she's been a game changer for me, and I know that she's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. So I just want to thank you so much. Anything else you want to add?
No, and I just want to say, Kelly, that I'm super proud of you for first investing in yourself and your own growth and truly borrowing the belief, because everybody watching, like, I've hung out with Kelly Goal Achieved. Like, I know exactly who she is. I know exactly where she's going. And you guys are in good company. You guys are in good hands because this woman is next level. She's so kick-ass. Like, I love hanging out with her. I know where she's going. Even when she doesn't see it herself some days, it's like, it's already done. It's already done. And yeah, I can't wait to keep watching this transformation. It's incredible. It's the best.
Yeah, it really is very, very fun. Very fun. Getting chills over here. So, okay, so that's going to be a wrap today for Biohacker Mom. Just want to thank Delynn Miller so much for being with us today. It was just a really great talk. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And we'll put information in the comments. We'll be back on Thursday. We have Eric Levinson. I don't know why I keep pronouncing his name wrong, but we're going to have Eric on Thursday at 2:00. So please join in 2:00 Eastern Standard Time. So join us for that. And Delynn, thank you again. And can't wait to see what Barbados is going to bring. It's going to be so exciting.
Me too.
Yep. All right. All right. So you guys remember to keep biohacking, keep your mindset up, positive. It's time to max out. That means optimal health and unstoppable mindset. So we are saying goodbye for now. Keep biohacking. See you guys later.